Hi everybody, it's me, Ivy, aka the main protagonist, who unfortunately did not like this week's episode of Doctor Who very much. And I have smart glasses on, so when I talk about why I didn't like it, I can seem smarter than usual. This review is going to be a little bit more negative than my usual stuff, and I apologize, but for the sake of this series, I am gonna keep going. Yeah, essentially, I really did not vibe with this episode as much as I have liked, the other episodes in Doctor Who Flux. In my opinion, this is the weakest one so far, and I just have kind of a problem with a lot of the stuff, and most importantly, it made me really worried for how this story is going to end. Now, usually I do kind of like a rundown of the plot. I give like little bits and pieces of what happened in the episode in chronological order usually, and then I give my thoughts on them. But I feel like they all, like everything I wrote down kind of circles around the problems that I had. So I think this review is mainly going to be discussing those problems and my feelings on the problems, but I will get the positive stuff out of the way because you guys know me, I cannot focus all on negativity. There's too much of it in the world. I refuse to give in to it completely, so I am going to talk about the few things that I did like about this episode first. Firstly, I have written down on my little notepad, because I downgraded from a notebook, and I quote, "Gay hologram." Now, I know I was not the only one picking up on this scene because it was all over Twitter, because every time anything fruity happens, you know us LGBTs are going to be jumping on it. But the scene where Yaz was watching the Doctor's hologram, and there was just that romantic little, "I miss you too." I was like, what is going on here? Like, what is going on here? Again, I don't really ship Zasmine. I don't think they've earned being in a relationship yet, character development wise and interaction wise, but I was still like, okay, like this is a little gay. This is a little queer. Like, these are gay people. I don't know why I sounded so disgusted when I said that. I'm sorry. I'm a lesbian. I promise I'm not homophobic. Most of the time. Moving on. The snake alien guy, the Grand Serpent, I thought he was pretty cool. He seems kind of useless to the plot. He doesn't really seem like he belongs here. But he kind of gives me Irving Braxtitel vibes, and for that, I love him already. And I just thought the snake alien, like, effect was really cool when it was killing people. And so just, like, shout out to him. He's a king, and I really wish that he wasn't in Flux because he seems like a really cool character. Seems like they could do some really cool stuff with him, just not here. Jodie Whittaker's acting. I have wanted to like bring this up in every single review I've done. Jodie Whittaker is so talented. Just when you watch her face, when you watch her eyes, just the range of emotions she portrays, like, she's just so good at what she does, and it's like you literally can't take your eyes off of her, and that's not just because I'm gay, it's because, like, she's genuinely so talented, and she just, like, I could go on and on. It's so great to watch her do her thing here, and even though I was kind of, like, not really vibing with all the reveals that happened this episode, watching the Doctor's reaction to them and how Jodie Whittaker carries that out was so great. And I just thought in general, like, this episode, no matter how you felt about it, you can't lie that it's, like, intriguing. Like, even if I didn't like all that happened eventually, it was still enough where throughout the episode, I was like, okay, like, what's gonna happen? Like, I was still invested, it just, the payoff wasn't that great. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about why this stuff wasn't too great for me and just kind of my feelings in general. Before that, I'm going to take a break because I am trying to be a little bit more concise, but also a little bit more explorative and in-depth in my analysis and reviews. So I'm going to take a second to determine how in the I do that. While we're doing this little intermission, I just want to give a really quick shout out to the people I follow on Twitter and the people who I interact with. I love reading your guys' thoughts. I know that we've had a lot of tension in the community lately about expressing opinions, and I just want to say, even if we don't agree, I love reading what you guys think. I love seeing your thoughts, your processes, your experiences when it comes to Doctor Who. And I also really love when I see people's thoughts a couple days, like, after the episode, compared to right after the episode. I love it when people give things a second chance, and I just love seeing that development and how we view things, how that kind of changes over time. It's so interesting and so awesome interacting with you guys, and I love this fandom. Even if we have our problem, I love this fandom, and I had to express that love because I'm about to be so negative, and I have to balance it. I have to balance it and tell you guys how much you mean to me, how much I appreciate you, and how much your presence means to this community. So, negativity time. One of the big problems I had with this episode, the dialogue was clunky. It was bad. Like, especially in the scenes with our human counterparts with Yaz, Dan, and Jericho. The dialogue just felt gross. Like, it just felt so, like, not how people talk. And it just felt so exposition dumpy. It felt so strange and odd, and it just I did not vibe with it at all. And speaking of exposition, there was also, unfortunately, a lot of that here. I felt in my heart that this series was gonna go the same direction as the Timeless Children went, where it was like 90% exposition, and that was just kind of how we got everything wrapped up. And I think I was right. I think this is exactly what's happening here. Literally, when we got the scene of Tech Taeyoon, the old lady, whoever, and she was talking with the doctor and explaining what the division was, what was going on, I thought to myself, like, am I watching the Timeless Children right now? Because this is like the exact same thing. In the Timeless Children, we got the Master just kind of standing there telling the doctor everything, and in this episode, we kind of just got Tech Taeyoon standing there telling the doctor everything. And it's just... it's so disappointing because I could feel a little bit of that hype building up, that like, oh my god, there's a multiverse now, there's all this stuff happening, Division was created by the Time Lords, which I suspected, and there was just so much started and it wasn't blossoming. There were two metaphors in my head going on there, a flower and a fire, and I went with the flower, but I wish I'd gone with the fire. And I kind of felt that way with all the other stuff throughout the episode, especially with the Grand Serpent. Like, he's this scary character, he's kind of involving himself in Unit and Unit's history. Clearly he's manipulating stuff, he's got this big end goal, and then by the end it's like just the Santarans, and it's kind of like, well, why is he here then? Like, why is he here? Why are we doing this? Why did we plant these seeds just for an ugly ass flower? And overall, there's just too much happening. There are too many seeds being planted, too many flowers growing everywhere, and you're drowning in them, and it's too much at this point. This is the penultimate episode. This is the last episode before the finale, and yes, we got some answers to some stuff, but then we started setting up so much else and still continuing with a lot of threads that I don't see why they're so important to the story. And it just feels like there's so much that you can't really, like, feel a lot for it anymore. I remember in the beginning with my reviews, I talked a lot about how Swarm and Azure were so scary, they were so terrifying, I was so excited to see them, and then I was so excited to see the Division, I was so excited to see what happened there, and I was just so excited for all of this stuff, and I just feel like none of it is really panning out like how it should. And I just feel like nothing is getting the time and space it deserves in this story. And it's just unfortunate overall that I'm feeling this way, because it's like, I knew, like, part of me knew that we're probably going to get a messy finale. We're probably not going to see the ending that we deserve to this story. And I wanted so desperately to feel like I could give them the chance to prove me wrong. And I just don't know. It's like, I know that this is going to happen. I know it. And it makes me just so sad. And then the episode ended. And I was just kind of left feeling like, that's it? Like, that's it. And it's hard. Because it's like, I know there was important stuff in this episode. I know we got the answers to who the Division are. We saw Tech Taeyoon again. There's all this big stuff going on. You can tell it's big. You can tell it should be. You can tell it should feel that way. And it just doesn't. So, to wrap up, overall, not very great feelings about this episode. Not very great feelings in anticipation for the finale. And it's unfortunate. I don't like feeling that way. I don't like feeling like I can't enjoy something because I really am the type of person to always find something. And that's why I got through the positive parts right at the beginning, because I did find something. Just not a lot. I do think that every episode of Flux preceding this one is very strong on its own. I just unfortunately don't think this all works as a connected story very well. But we'll see. I could always be proven wrong, and I really hope I am. I really hope I am. That was a lot of negativity, and I am so sorry. I don't typically stray this way. I just don't like it. I just think there's too much out there at this point in time, and it just doesn't feel like me. But I had to stick to the series, so I had to be honest with you and tell you what I thought. What did you guys think, though? Like I said, I do genuinely really value your guys' opinions, and I love reading them. So if you want to talk about it, you can join me on Twitter so I can read your opinions, or you can leave a comment below so I can read them and reply to them as well. If you liked this video or you liked my commentary and my content, you can subscribe to my channel or like the video. I do these videos every week for Doctor Who Flux, and I've got lots more planned for when this series is over. I am going to go take a second and just regain that positivity back, because I'm not going to waste my day sitting around and focusing on the bad, and you shouldn't either. With that in mind, I hope you're all staying safe, happy, and healthy, and I hope you're having a great day, night, or whatever time it is for you. I love you very much, and goodbye.